Here we go. So, happy weekend, everybody. We have 23. So the start of the second quarter. I noticed this 422s, and very interesting. These numbers. This is a bit of Copal. One of my other favorite smells. It's from South America. It's a bit like frankincense, and this really is a beautiful, beautiful smell. So happy days, and what a journey, what a life, eh? So there's been a few developments. It's looking like I'm gonna be moving west, and for various reasons, a lot sooner than I thought. So I'm now in a kind of a state of I've got to really pack down my stuff and concentrate a little bit more on the house. So since the little break with the snow, it's it's a situation now I'm in where it's already been pretty hard. I love the climbs, and I love the sunrise and the sunsets. There's no doubt about it. It's nice to be still for those moments, even if it's just 5 minutes. There's no expectations really from anybody in this area, because a lot of us are running to work, coming from work, and it's really hard to honor that time. One of the suggestions I was going to make, though, is as you can see here on the mantelpiece is a kind of altar space. I have many things there. And it's really good if you've never done this. Before. I have one over here as well. I'll show you a little bit. I'll do a little tour. You can see it on the camera. But so what is an altar? We remember the altars from church. It's you got alternative. Alternative. When you break down words, it's amazing what how you see things, and when you really look at it. Like ignorance, ignorance. It's like an ignore. Ignorance, when we pronounce them, we forget sometimes where their roots come from, and a lot of things are like that with words. You'd be amazed, So the altar, really, making a sacred space in your house or in your bedroom or several places around the house, if you like, is a good thing to do. Energetically, you burn your candles there, and I regularly burn candles, and I make little prayers of protection and giving thanks and gratitude regularly. Especially when I'm on the way out the door, and before I go to bed at night or whatever. And I'm burning lots of incense, and trying to pull in everything that I can in order to help my situation. And I found this has worked for me. I've got so many stories that I will share in around this. That it's phenomenal, like the help that you get, and you can be a scientist and break it all down, and you can kind of go, no, that would have just happened anyway. But no. There's something else going on, and it's very interesting. It's like they're now saying that the atoms don't move, while they're being observed, or this kind of thing. I don't know if I said that correctly, but if it's really interesting. That things can change when they know that something is looking at it. So what's actually happening here in the ripple of time, and energy and space? because ultimately, it's got a lot to do with going on up here. So for me, in this area, sometimes it's better to believe than to not. And therefore building a bridge with that belief. And then that same belief, how dangerous that can be to believe in something that is a dogma or dogmatic, or some kind of condition, even a fundamental fundamentalist cult of some sort, or even some of the religions, in their some in some religious form anyway, this can be detrimental to our health and to our spirit and our being, and so on. So, this whole story, is really interesting, because this is it, like, the biology of belief. You must check out this guy, an amazing character. Bruce Lipton is his name. Bruce Lipton, The Biology of Belief, and check out all these other stuff on consciousness and stuff, because it's powerful, because there's a lot of people, like, getting away from belief because they had so much belief in, we'll say, and faith. Faith is another thing, people are coming away from it because of the relationship to religion and stuff like that, and rightfully so, because of what aspects of religion has done, the Catholic Church and all the terrible things that is underneath the carpet, hidden in the closet, and there is a lot. There's no doubt about that, and some of the most brutal women in this country of Ireland, were the nuns, and the Christian brothers at times, and but we hear a lot about that. I mean, these crazy, terrible people, and how did this happen? How did somebody that is preaching the word of God and in the name of love and stuff, how did this happen? So I understand why people may come away from these words like worship or faith or belief, but it's important. It's important for a child to believe in themselves and for you to instill that kind of belief in yourself, and not necessarily others, So it's tricky. It can definitely be tricky, But there's no doubt about it that energy follows thought in that way when you think about it, and and often, as I said before, we wonder why things happen to us, and a lot of the time it is often because we invited it in, and we forget about that, and then we have poor me, like, why is this happening to me, So, really, when you actually look at it commonsensically and you look at the nature of how energy works, it's quite amazing. And science is coming to this now, so it's not just hippie shit anymore. It's not just this kind of like, the usual thing that, when somebody doesn't really understand something, they kind of like, yeah, what a load of rubbish. Mumbo jumbo, they call it, or whatever the case may be, So, basically, what I'm getting at here as well is that, it's not necessarily just belief, is it? It's respect, and so creating an altar space for yourself, and using incense and stuff like that, really helps to clear space, and negative vibrations. You often been to a party and everybody's having a good time, and then there's just one person, can come in and just destroy the entire energy. And to look at that, because you must understand that, you must have experienced that, and you kind of think, oh, isn't that interesting? How can this one person destroy an entire room? We've all seen that in relationships, and either one comes in a mood and just completely brings down the energy of the place, And so there's thoughts, billions, trillions, and zillions of pieces of information in the ether here. We now have this happening mechanically in relation to the machine and technology and computers and Wi-Fi and all this kind of other stuff that's there. But this is happening all the time. To me, technology is really just an artificial version of something that already exists here. There's this camera. Any camera, it will never be able to match the eye and what its capacity and capability and the things that it can do. you know, and the inner eye and these other things, right, that we're not even tapping into anymore, you know. And you know, people think, you know, psychic people or clairvoyant people are either mad or special, or well, you know, but you know, and the same with healers. We all put this stuff on people, like, you know, like that we can't do this ourselves. But generally speaking, you know, it's like, oh, what an amazing guitarist! I could never play like that. If you put your mind to anything, you know, you'd be surprised what you can do. And but of course, you know, this is just what I'm getting at, you know, in relation to energy, you know. And so yeah, for me, you know, to you know, share this with you in this way, is is to put some kind of emphasis, importance on that. You know, I mentioned before that once upon a time we used to leave food out for the fairies, you know. I mean, you know, there's often a really bad depiction of fairies in or a fantasized version of it and stuff in relation to what it was, you know. And we're always only too willing to kind of just like, well, there's no such thing, and disbelieve and the power of the science to prove such things. But we're missing the point. We're often missing the point, you know, and a bit like religion, you know, in the way that it's often misinterpreted and taken literally, you know. And so, you know, lots of new people are coming out, man, and in awakening in this new way of defining things and finding new definition, you know. And so, and this is what I do. This is what I am in my small, you know, simple layman's kind of way, you know. My mind, you know, the poet, you know. I trying to you know, redefine things, turn things back up, you know, those things that are backwards, to put them forward again, you know. And you know, so this is where we're at. So, you know, having an altar space and having some little dishes and stuff like that, so that, you know, okay, you don't have to go outside, you know. You can put a tiny little morsel from each of your foods and put it in that that little bowl, and just give gratitude and thanks, you know, for everybody, everything, you know, that has helped to put that food on your plate, you know, from the planters to the growers, you know, to the pickers, you know, to the people who manage and maintain everything, you know, from the shopkeeper, the markets, or whatever, you know, all the people, right, that help, you know, the seed sellers, you know, there's a whole heap of people involved in that, you know. And sometimes you know, it's cooked or you know, all these kinds of little aspects, you know. And I think when you put that energy back, you know, and you try to get your food as wholesome as possible in relation to as living as it can be, you know, instead of all this kind of you know, ready-made stuff, you know, which is actually, it's just crap. It's not. It's lost all its energy, you know, and it isn't going to feed you, you know. And so to bring that back into your life is going to change your consciousness, you know. And that is why we're so dumbed down and numbed and incapable of actually taking control of our faculties, you know. And we feel weak in our continuous you know, want for you know, every type of porn, because porn's not just porn. It's like, you know, some of the stuff that's on the telly is just, it's no different than porn. It's just rubbish, you know. And we keep filling ourselves up with this crap, you know. And then what does it do in effect, you know? And it leaves us in another state, you know, of truly you know, it's just beyond words, isn't it? Like it's just a numbing down of all the senses, you know, to what is real. So, you know, create that altar space for yourself, you know, and you know, get some real good incense, you know, like copal or frankincense, and there's a thousand resins out there that can be burnt. There's a beautiful company that I know of in Glastonbury called Starchild. You can go online and you can buy stuff, you know, mixes of this, you know, for all the various quarter cycles, and there's all sorts of different ones, you know, for all the elements, and you know, just go online, research it, you know. But I think this is a good start, and burning candles, you know, is really good as well, in relation to bringing that light back into your life. And you know, time's up again, you know, but blessed be. I hope you're enjoying the story.